Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 207 at ScavengerLife.com. Welcome to the podcast.
Yep, it's welcome to all the trash elves out there who are...
proud trash elves.
Who are hopefully turning this on to work, to hit a death pile in their house.
Pile of doom.
Photograph or a list.
Yeah. We have a few piles of doom right now that I'm looking at.
And if you're thinking of or have chosen as a life path to sell junk on the internet, specifically eBay, you have definitely found the right people. Those are us.
We are those people.
Yeah.
And the people who comment on the blog. These are those people.
Yep. Welcome to our dumb podcast.
Welcome to our dumb blog. I don't know why you started saying that.
I think it's just because when people start getting a little bit irate in the comments of the blog, I'm just like, it's just a dumb podcast.
It's just a blog.
Yeah. Any kind of drama that may even begin to spark up is totally not worth it. So
yeah, it's just silly.
So, guess what I've been doing this week, Ryan?
What, Jay?
In the morning, part of my morning stuff that I do now, I've been going on a Reddit flipping forum.
Yes, the flipping community.
You know, we've known about it. We've talked about it some.
Yeah.
And I think some people here who can hear us now are from that
They
group.
found us through flipping. Because
Yeah.
some people have mentioned us there, not because we mention ourselves.
And it's cool. You know, people on our blog are like, you guys should get a forum. And it's like, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You really have to be a good moderator or have other people moderate. It just becomes a thing. I think the Reddit flipping site is probably a good place if people want to go and just
talk about stuff
for more than what they can get from our blog.
That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
You know,
they do a cool thing where every day it's like kind of like an open post each day, so anyone can ask any question at all. And I guess a rule is no more experienced person's allowed to get angry. Like, there can be no stupid question because people know I get a little bit irate when people come onto our blog without like kind of reading or knowing anything.
Yeah.
And you're like wanting us to do the work for you.
Right.
The great thing about Reddit is that you can ask anything on those posts.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter.
And people just don't have to
it's fine.
answer you, and it's great. But I've actually been answering some of those questions.
Oh, cool. So what kind of stuff are people asking?
You know, it's just like all the questions we had when we were first starting out, you know?
Yeah.
Things like, I found this thing. How much do you think it's worth?
So what kind of... I'm curious to hear what kind of answers you're giving them. Cause...
I don't answer those ones.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
You can just pick and choose.
Yeah.
And, other... sellers, I guess, are more patient or are willing to answer these things.
Sure.
But there's some good questions about shipping and, a lot of questions about, like, having problems with a shipment.
Yeah.
And what they're supposed to do about it.
Do people ask, like, customer issues? They're like,
Absolutely.
This person... Really? Okay,
Yep.
good. So do you find that people's advice is good advice on there?
Yeah, I really haven't been there long enough to kind of know who's who or how large of a community it is. But, there seems to be some people there who know what they're talking about and patient.
Good,
and,
that's great.
Trying to do good. But it's funny though. I don't know for sure because it's just kind of an anonymous site.
Right.
But there are a lot of questions couched and it sounds as if it's college students, like I'm in college, I'm earning some extra cash, or I just got out of college.
Yeah.
And I would guess a lot of them are guys.
Yeah.
Young guys. And it's interesting that it's so different than when I was growing up, and I don't feel like it was that long ago.
Right.
But I guess,
this
is the next generation, and they have a whole new set of tools, and it's interesting that the internet allows young people, college students, to kind of skip its working that at the minimum wage jobs and can do stuff like this.
I mean, that's what we hope.
Right.
We want that to be, when you're in high school or when you're in college or when you're out of college, that you're having more open choices to not have to, like, be, you know, a minimum wage slave.
And, you know, it's, yeah, I mean, you know, obviously none of it's going to be easy cash, but it seems like it opens up the possibilities. You know, like you could become a driver for Uber, you know,
Right.
and we've actually paid for some rides on Uber where it'd be like a young guy who was in college.
Right.
There was a young guy that picked us up from the train station in northern, it's Virginia, and I think he was even contemplating dropping out of school because he hated it, and he was like, I could just do this.
I know. Well, that was kind of sad in a way, but it's like, yeah, but then he was like, but I could do this and then pursue my dream of like actually being a musician.
No. He wanted to be a rapper. And then he was like, I'll put in a CD for you. And
it's terrible.
Yeah.
But you know, that's fine if he can get better over time.
And you know, there's other things people can do too, but selling online is a big one. And on Reddit, it definitely is kind of half and half. It's between selling on eBay and selling on Amazon.
Yeah. Do people talk about selling on Craigslist or like local
Absolutely,
stuff like that?
Yeah. And there's Craigslist too.
Yeah, Craigslisters.
Yeah. But you know, it's interesting seeing people and then having a place to be able to ask a lot of things and learn. And that means that they obviously aren't locked into having to work a certain hours and take strict orders from people.
Exactly. Know? Yeah, that's cool.
But I think that's the other thing too that's interesting is that some of these people are coming just because I need to make some cash.
Right.
So I've heard I can do it is like this, and that's goes back to what we were talking about last week about having the hunger.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to sell on eBay or probably even Amazon, you really have to have the hunger to always be treasure hunting.
Yeah.
Even if you're treasure hunting for like adult diapers in Walmart, you know, like you have to be willing to be excited about going in there and scanning or going to flea markets. You know.
Yeah.
You kind of, I read some of the questions of just like, I went to Goodwill, like, you know, I've heard people do, and I got a bunch of stuff. What do I do with it now?
What do I do?
You know, yeah. So,
they're like, I don't care what it is.
Yeah, so it's like anything, you have to kind of be somewhat excited by it.
I love how your example for retail arbitrage is scanning adult diapers at Walmart. Like, that is like, you pointed to that like 4 different times.
Or baby wipes.
Baby wipes.
Because you know why? I read some post that some guy did, and he was all about these adult diapers, and he found,
really?
you know, and he found them where they were cheap here, and then he was able to sell them for a lot here. You know, it's like, it seems like that's what the Amazon thing is. I know people are going to email me about this because I don't know. It's what I'm talking about, but it seems like that's just what it's about. It's about just you're always scanning stuff, trying to find something that
anything
you know, where there's some arbitrage.
Yeah, there's
that gap.
The possibility
you know?
of arbitrage.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, we're talking about this, but you were relatively young when we started. This.
Yeah. I mean, I was late 20s.
Yeah, I think you were 28.
Yeah.
When we kind of went into this full time.
Yeah, so that's good. I mean, I feel like I was lucky to have influences, you know, in my family where, and we've talked about this before, where my parents never worked for other people, really. I mean, they worked in collaboration with other people and at times for other people temporarily, but, you know, never did my parents, like, have a career, you know? So that really helped me to be like, I don't need that.
Yep.
So I saw them get by.
That's good. So I made a list of all the crappy jobs that I've ever had.
So let's start at the first one.
This is not like a comprehensive list because I had a lot of jobs that I probably forgot about or only worked for a short amount of time.
You blocked out, yeah.
When I was in junior high, I started in 6th grade. I worked I was cleaned. It's my school after school.
You went to a private school.
I went to a small private school, and it was interesting. They hired kids who couldn't afford to go to the school
to like work
to help pay for the tuition.
I wonder if they still do that. Doubtful.
They don't do that. They actually stopped it when I got older in school.
Really?
Just because it was tough to manage, you know, a bunch of kids. Because, I mean, we were doing... my mom actually taught at the school, so that's how we could afford it. But I did anyway because I thought it was cool. I was like, I want to make some money.
Yeah.
But
It's adorable.
But you know, there were like 30 of us, and we would meet at 3:00, and we would work for 2 hours, which at the time felt like a long
time when you're that old.
And we would clean toilets.
You would
mop
really
the floors.
So they didn't hire janitors.
No, I mean, we would vacuum all the floors and clean all the chalkboards and sweep the floors.
That's like child labor.
Seriously.
I mean, that really is.
And I remember they were paying me $2.25 an hour.
Oh my God! This is in the 80s, right? Early 80s.
That was back in 80.
Early 80s.
86.
Yeah.
So
Jesus.
But it was weird. I really liked the people I worked with the other kids because they were the kind of rowdier, working class kids.
They weren't like the posh kids.
Yeah, like they were as my friends. But at the same time, it was weird because we would start work right at 3 when all the other kids are out of school, and we would be working.
Right.
And it was a little bit embarrassing because we'd have to be going into like the girls' bathroom to like clean the girls' bathroom.
Oh my God! And you're like during the day, you're like not allowed to go in there and stuff.
But just it's your working. But
right.
I liked it anyway. And then in high school, they actually stopped the program and just hired janitors.
Yeah,
because,
I'm sure the state was like not too keen on that.
I remember. And I'd work the summer times too. They would hire a bunch of us, and we would be painting, doing landscaping. And
Jesus!
Stuff like that. And I remember
that's the craziest thing.
I would work 40 hours at $2.25. Imagine that. My paycheck for a week would be under $100.
Oh my God! Yeah, but when you're 11, you're like, I don't know, and it's the 80s.
Yeah.
But still, isn't that crazy?
Anyway, and then I worked at like a Blimpie. Where I made
the sandwich shop. Ooh, yummy.
I was a bagger at Safeway.
Yep.
And then at another grocery store.
This is in high school?
Yep, high school.
You had a lot of jobs in high school. I'm like...
I just, I wanted to get out of my house. It was like a reason to get out of the house.
Yeah.
My parents were very nice, always provided for us, but they weren't going to give us extra cash, so that was the way, I made
just go
money.
out.
When I was in college, like I worked as there was like a hamburger restaurant. It's next to the college campus.
Yeah.
And I would take hamburgers to kids on a bike,
So you were like the bike hamburger delivery guy.
Yep.
That's kind of awesome.
Yep.
People loved you in college then, because all the stone kids were like getting hamburgers.
Yeah, they didn't really care.
They don't care. They don't care who's delivering.
I worked at a Schlotzsky's.
I don't know what that is.
People in Texas will know.
Schlotzsky's.
It's like kind of like a famous sandwich shop.
Is it like a Subway?
No, it's like a very specific sandwich, like made out of like sourdough, and the way that they make it's baked.
That sounds great.
It was good.
Well, that's like when I say we used to eat sandwiches at D'Angelo's, and you're like, what the hell is that?
Right.
But in Massachusetts, D'Angelo's is Subway. I never even heard of Subway till I was in college.
Right. So, guys, I mean,
anyway.
This is not small talk. The only reason why I'm doing this is because I'm just trying to tell you,
this was
if
my
you're
life.
young and you're thinking or you're selling things online, these are the kinds of jobs that you're avoiding, which is good.
Delivering sandwiches.
I had many cooking jobs, and then like throughout my early 20s, I'd travel around, and I'd work in a kitchen, washing things, cooking, line cook. Yeah. Then I got sick of having crappy jobs, even though I had a college education, a liberal arts education. I had a hard time finding any kind of real work. Right. So actually I went back to get a little more education.
And you studied media.
Yep, in Cincinnati, Ohio. Only for a year, and I hated... I
you hated school?
I didn't like the kind of schools that I went to. And then I became a lighting tech at the college.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was like one of my first...
So that was a job, though?
Yep, it was
lighting
a job.
Tech, yeah.
It was kind of one of my first jobs that I kind of felt proud of. Where we were doing all the lighting, hanging lights for the...
Gobo.
Yeah, right, for the... for the...
it was for the theater and stuff? That's awesome.
It's musical theater at the Cincinnati. And then, because I had some education and I was a little bit older, I got a job at a TV station, and that's where it all started for me. Where
Fox affiliate, right?
Yeah, Fox News.
Fox in Cincinnati?
Yep.
Fox 5.
It's writing Fox 19.
Fox 19, sorry.
Yep.
See, in Massachusetts, it's Fox 25.
Sure, right.
Fox 19.
That's the,
So the funny thing was, you were writing the news.
Right.
Some, like, 19-year-old or whatever.
But I think it's interesting. I'm sure a lot of us who are older have these stories where, like, you kind of have these menial jobs, and then suddenly there's just, like, a jump. Where someone takes a chance on you, and then you get a job that's a little more professional.
It propels you forward.
And then from there, I got other kind of TV jobs, and I traveled around.
Yeah,
and that's how we met when I ended up in New York, and you know.
You didn't mention Blockbuster.
Blockbuster, that's right. I worked
You forgot Blockbuster, dude. How?
Oh my god!
You made weird videos at Blockbuster with your video camera. Yeah. That's how I remember it because I've seen some of those videos.
Yeah. And then when I had these jobs in TV, I realized that I was just going to be it's management, or at least it felt that way. It seemed like when I looked at the future of It's My Life, it'd be like middle. It's management, and that just
for a long time,
and that looked like that felt like it was going to kill me.
Yeah.
So here I am now with you.
So now, as we say, we sell old shoes on the internet.
That's right.
And we like it better.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, that's the interesting thing. Like when I read those posts on a Reddit. A flipping a form, and I will
link to it
to that. Those of you that don't know, I don't know if everyone's young. I mean, I know they aren't all young. So anyone hearing this, who is older, it's still a great place to go talk, trade, ideas, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they really hunger for more people with experience.
Good.
Especially people who are into like selling like cool little
like
odds
weird
and ends
things.
And things.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of kids that seem to know about like games and
like electronic stuff. Yeah. So it's cooler to be like, look at this weird antique, pipe.
Absolutely.
or whatever.
But I think that's why, the hunger is important. Is to have that hunger where you're into doing this, because I guess. It's wondering that, like, could you just be so hungry for cash that you don't care what you do, and that could get you through all the kind of, all those grinding its moments in the eBay process?
Yeah, but I think what happens is...
Sorry, could you not enjoy doing this?
And still
you
do
have
it?
a love of the money so much that you could do this.
I think... a lot of times it starts out like that. Like for us, we were like, we were inexperienced in a way, but we were just like getting anything. Right. I mean, in terms of clothes,
right? Anything
that was vintage, that had like retro vintage. Right. I mean, we sold some stuff that was in terrible condition,
right?
But we were just like, we just got to get everything. Like, I remember going to this, like, yard sale and buying every pair of shoes. I mean, the girl looked at me like I was insane because they weren't my size.
Right.
I was like, I want all of them. And some of them were in really bad shape, you know? But we were just hungry to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we were hungry because, we definitely needed income.
Yeah.
That was definitely a big motivating factor. But I think we've always, and we talked about it a week ago, I mean, we've always had the hunger to scavenge. I mean, that's how we started, is because we were at a thrift store because we would go to thrift
shopping
stores
for ourselves.
Anyway, always trying to find things. Like, I was really big into when we were, like... kind of hoarding stuff for the end of the world. I was into candles. I was like,
my God.
I was always buying like any box of old candles. I was like, we're gonna need these.
And you know what's funny in the eBay storage? I'm like, every couple months I'm like, what the hell's in this box? I open it.
You never know.
Candles.
You never know when
it's
we're
a crap load of candles, and I don't want to get rid of them because one day we're gonna be like, damn, we got rid of all those candles.
You never know. But
yeah.
So anyway, we'll wrap this up. If you're ever hungry for more places to talk, I think the
flipping
reddit.com/flipping
is a good place.
Good place.
So if you want to ask what kind of shoes to buy to sell,
Yeah.
go there.
It's good. And, there's been, the stories, if anyone pays attention to their site has had some
Reddit itself, yeah.
But really, that's kind of like big picture stuff.
Yeah.
I think in the small forums here,
people are still going.
Things are still going.
Yeah, exactly.
As always.
Yep. Well, that's cool. I'm going to check it out too. I'll probably get my own username because I think we share a username. Yeah. So I need to.
But we aren't trying to push people away from our blog, but we can't be everything to everybody. So,
right. Exactly. We don't want to be everything to everybody.
We can only be good at what we do.
Exactly. So let's talk about our numbers for this week.
Yeah. So, there's continuing stories of things being slow.
Yes.
And although I really haven't heard that much among the people that hang out on our blog.
People are saying it's, up and down.
But Amazon just had that big sale, and all the articles were like, it was really no big deal, and just things being slow in general, and that's one reason why Amazon did the store. For us, it's been a pretty good week. So this is what we did this week.
Yeah.
In our first store, our original store, our main store, we sold 37 items for about $1,650.
Pretty good.
And it's still Saturday.
Okay.
We're doing the...
we're recording early, so we still have a day left.
Yeah, our numbers go by the way eBay...
Sunday to Saturday, right?
Sunday to Saturday.
So today's Saturday, so...
Yeah.
So by the end of tonight would be the end of our numbers, so...
So $1,650. And then... On our second store that we started in
May,
middle of May, so it's 2 months old.
Yeah,
we made $192.
So almost $200.
Almost $200.
That's pretty good.
We sold 6 things. It was,
almost 6 things for almost 200 is pretty good.
So total together. We made almost $1,900.
That's good.
Almost $2,000.
That's a pretty good week, actually.
So really, we were averaging about $250 a day.
Yeah, which is good.
Which is really good for us. Like when we can hit $300 a day, I'm feeling like our store is doing rolling.
Well. Yeah, exactly.
So again, but for us, it didn't feel like a crazy week. It just
felt steady.
We had some days where we didn't break 100, and then we had other days where we made almost 600. So it's kind of like is that thing where it's all over the place.
It's just like peaks and valleys. It's just like
one day we sold like 10 things, but everything was like around $20.
Yeah.
But then today we sold a couple of really expensive things.
Yeah,
so.
all together, which is nice.
Again, it's a good slice of our store where we have the bread and butter things that sell for $20 to $30, $20 to $40, and then we do have some of the higher dollar items that we try and find, and we have the courage to put up a real
high price.
And like a couple of things we'll talk about them. I mean, we had them up for $500. People offered half price, and we were like, sure, we'll take $250 for this thing
because I paid less than 20 for it or whatever.
So it was one of those weeks for us.
Yeah. So what was interesting is I listed a bunch of stuff in both stores. I have almost completely caught up with you in terms of having stuff to list, which is unheard of for us. But what was interesting was eBay automatically upped my limits on the new store this week. I didn't have to do anything. They said I could sell. They changed it from $1,100 to $2,100, and from 35,000 to 66,000. So they
that could be the total amount that your items
sell.
could cost.
Could cost, yeah. So that's kind of nice. I think they see if you're listing and selling, they're going to automatically just bump. I've never had to call.
I mean, it's tough because some people say, well, even though we're using a different name, we're different PayPal address, that they do it by IP. So maybe that's true.
Maybe,
but
I don't know.
I just know that we have not hit a limit yet, and it just automatically. And really, when we first started our store, I don't remember having to call ever.
I don't think I ever called.
I just remember we were just listing as much as we could, and then we would sell, and we would do a good job sending stuff, and then
they just like bumped you up. So
in the second store, our goal is to get it up to 500. We're
almost
there.
We're at 4 something, right?
And I've been telling people, well, if you get $500 in 500 items in at your store, you're going to make $2,000 a month. I mean, we aren't
making $2,000.
We aren't making $2,000 a month. We don't yet have 500 items, so we can't really say that's not true yet. But again, that's not really a hard and fast rule, obviously. But
it's an estimate.
It's getting there. I mean.
Well, we're making more like $1,000 a month, but the other thing too is I'm not putting super high-end stuff in that store yet because I wanted to build up our reputation, and like I only have 58 feedback on that store, right. So it's kind of hard to be like, I'm gonna put a painting up for $1,000.
Yeah, we've just been putting kind of a lower priced items.
Yeah, a lot of lower price. And you know what? Right now, because you're
$50,
because you're going through those bins on the front porch.
Yeah,
a lot of it's low price. And low price, it can vary between, I don't know,
$10 to $60.
10 at the lowest, but $15 to $60. Right. So I listed all my shoes on the other store, and those tend to be higher priced as well. So,
well, I just don't want to. I guess my point is, we haven't had enough info yet to really say what does and doesn't work. But what is working is that we're putting stuff on a store.
Yep, and stuff's selling.
Stuff is selling. We're making money, and it just reminds me that when you have a new store, it just takes time to kind of build it up.
Yeah,
and that
totally.
We obviously have no stress. This is like bonus for us.
It's just for
it's like a fun experiment almost. But if we were really in dire need, like our rent's got to get paid at the end of the month, I'd be freaking out because we aren't making enough to pay our rent.
Yeah.
So that's why we always tell people, and other people say it too, to try and start eBay when you still have a job, kind of in parallel.
Yeah.
And as your eBay store grows, try and then cut back on your hours at your other job, and then you kind of ease out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we did that.
Yeah, we did that.
We had freelance work. We still have freelance work, you know. That worked for us. And then when we felt comfortable, like, I think we can actually say no to some of these jobs because we have enough income every month to meet our needs. And that felt great to be able to do that. But it took a while. Yep. It wasn't, 1 week we just, like, dropped everything.
Right.
So some stuff that we sold, one high-priced item that sold this morning. Oh, no, sorry, that's a different one.
Well, we sold two more of our vintage
rugs.
Wool rugs.
Yeah, so someone bought one 3 weeks ago, and they never paid for it.
Right.
She even messaged us like, what did she say? She said, my boyfriend says we overpaid for this, so I'm gonna think it over, and then she never paid. So clearly I blocked her and she had an unpaid item against her. But then I relisted it and it sold like a week later.
Yep.
So, and that was $235 for one of those rugs.
And then we sold another one today for $250.
Yeah, and I paid $20 each for those ones.
So we have, I think, about three or four more left. This is where we talked about. We'd gone to an auction a month or so ago.
Yeah.
And they had 6 to 8 rugs.
Yeah.
And we just went all in. I always say that when you see a good deal, you got to go all in.
Yeah.
And we bought every single one of them.
There was one that I didn't buy because it was acrylic.
Right.
I didn't want it.
Right.
I just wanted the wool ones.
But all the ones we wanted, we were willing to pay.
I bought four for $20 and then one for $5.
Right.
So you can't beat that for like a vintage wool, Turkish rug.
So I sold a Ghostbusters eraser, like a little tiny pencil eraser.
Yeah.
And it's from the original Ghostbusters from 1985.
Yeah. So
when I was cleaning toilets,
Ghostbusters.
That's when Ghostbusters was out.
Yeah. So this was a McDonald's thing. Mm-hmm. I think, actually, just to correct you, it was when the Ghostbusters cartoon came out, which was in 1987.
Oh, really?
The eraser says 85 and 87 on it, and then I researched it, and it was from McDonald's. But the funny thing is, a bunch of other people had it up, new in package. Ours had been slightly used. Right. for like less than we were selling it. We sold ours for $13.
Why would someone buy it if ours is used?
I have no idea. I was like, you know what? Because someone else is going to buy this other one, and it's going to be gone, and then mine's going to be there. So I looked up this person's what they bought before, and they bought only erasers.
Right.
And so I started I was like, okay, I know people collect pencils. But people collecting erasers, I knew people collected erasers, but I wanted to see how crazy they were. Because I'm like...
Not crazy.
Not crazy, but like how big their collections were, what were their collections, what was it they were looking for. And I found this girl on YouTube who actually lives in Japan, and she has all these videos about her erasers.
It's very much a Japanese kind of like thing where just like all these erasers. And
they're all different things. They're like little hamburgers, little sushi, little cats, little anything, cars. So I was like, okay, that's the exact person I put this up for.
And, you know, I knew when I put it up that the Ghostbusters, kind of a reboot, or I'm not sure.
Is another Ghostbusters movie's coming out? Okay,
and it's going to be all girls in it, or
good
ladies, women.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I knew, and it's cool. This person that buys erasers normally spends $1 or $2 or $3. So she or he paid, you know, more than they normally do for ours.
Yeah.
$15.
So that's cool. It's just funny.
Totally random.
Yeah, it's random. But that's the beauty of it. We probably found it on the shelf of a thrift store. Yep. Cost 5 cents.
Right.
And some collector wanted it for $13. I have no idea, but you know, you got to keep an eye out for stuff like that.
You know, we talk about selling hats, snapback hats. You know, it's like, you know,
baseball
redneck
hats,
frat boy baseball hats.
Yeah,
and we do pretty well with them. This week was an especially good week. We sold 6 of those hats.
Yeah.
And we probably made, you know, and they sold between $20 and $50. So I'd probably say we made out $180. You know, and you guys know this. They're out there. You can buy them for a quarter to
sometimes at yard sales you can buy an entire box of hats that someone's collected for a couple bucks.
And you know, that being said, I do not encourage people if like you have no idea just to go out and put up anything. I think we've gotten a pretty good skill at knowing which hats will sell.
Right.
And you know, people are like, well, which one should I be?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's hard to say. It's like you want ones with like a chainsaw company on it,
right? Or
like
goofy,
a bar,
weird. Yeah, right, exactly.
But see, I don't like the goofy, like the really stupid, jokey ones, because those are too.
No, but like,
jokey.
Okay, so we found ones that said I think we found 3 of them that were all the same pattern that said jukebox junkie.
Yeah.
What?
It's awesome.
I know, it's incredible. And that's kind of jokey and silly, but it's not like a grandpa joke, you know?
Right.
Although we have found, you know...
like, if you take off my hat, I'm bald.
Like, if you take off my hat, I'll fart at you, or something. I don't know. Although I probably would buy that too.
We aren't experts, but it's a fun thing to find, and
people buy them.
Yeah.
We sell them all the time.
And it really is a list it and forget it.
Yeah.
Like, truly a list it and forget it. Like, we just list them, we don't think about them, and then we're like, whoa, that just sold.
Well, what's funny is that
it's been up 6 months.
Right. I mean, one of them that I sold this week was a logo for a golf course in Hawaii. And someone paid $30 for that. It's just a little cotton baseball hat with an embroidered logo that looks like nothing. But I was like, you know what? Like, okay, my mom's husband is super into golf. Mm-hmm. Those dudes collect those. Yeah. Like, you know, they went there before or they want to go there, and they're like...
And we know that because we go to estate sales and we see when guys die, there's always a closet with, like, golf stuff. And it's every golf course they've ever gone to, they have the little putter,
the hat or the patch or the T-shirt or something.
So that's just, like, a pipeline that we always just keep filled. You know, we'll, like, collect them till we have a pile. It takes me, you know, a couple hours to take pictures of all of them, and then it's you half a day to list. And we just keep that thing filled up. I remember, you know, just it's it's all about these easy pipelines. God, it sounds like a system, the pipeline system.
eBay pipeline.
We had a coffee company, like a roaster,
yeah,
kind of in our area, and we found out that they give away their coffee bags, those like
the burlap bags.
And,
this is a while ago. This is a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, and so we could call them up. We could go there. I'd back my truck up, and they would fill up the back of my truck.
An entire truckload of burlap.
Right. And so we would take it home, and we would put them in piles of 4.
Yeah.
And we would...
I would sell them.
Sell them, and we were selling them. So we were getting them for free.
Yeah.
We'd sell 4 of them for...
It was like 4 for like $15.
Oh, man.
But the thing was also, I would pick out the ones that had the cool patterns.
Right, that's right.
They would say like Brazil, or like they would have these prints on them. I could not keep them in stock.
Right.
Like...
And
it was crazy.
And then unfortunately that company went out of business, so we could no longer get access to those. But looking back, that was when we were still new. We should have been selling them for 4 times what we were doing.
Because the whole shabby chic look of redoing like a couch in burlap was the biggest thing.
But I guess my point is that was like one of the first times where we had realized, if we just keep finding things that we can get that was free.
For free.
But like even hats, they're so cheap.
Yeah.
It's pure profit.
Yeah.
And then I think about it, if we make $200 a month on snackback hats, that pays for our internet and like our electric bill.
Right.
That's the way.
Just junky little hats.
That's the way we thought in the beginning, and that's the way I think about it now. And that's a motivation to enlist these things from me.
Right, exactly. Like, you're going to sell a few a month, and those little things are just going to pay your bills.
Yep.
And hopefully that's true for everything.
Yep.
So let's talk about customer issues. Okay, so one of the issues I had this week, which was a real bummer, one of the very first sales in our new store, this is before I realized that global shipping wasn't turned on in that store. Someone in France bought a hat, actually. It was a beret, going to France, which makes sense. And they paid for first-class shipping. There's a problem with that because the tracking has stopped in the U.S., and that was 2 months ago.
And this is why we're so into the global shipping program. I mean, when we started to sell on eBay, we always sold overseas. And we were selling, we were doing first class.
Yeah.
Without anything,
Yeah. They say there might be tracking, but...
And this would happen to us more than we enjoyed.
Yeah.
Where once it hits an American, once it leaves, goes to the port or wherever, it stops, and then this would happen. We get the email, and people are like, where is it? We're like, we don't know.
We don't know.
And so the only thing you can do is just like say, we'll just wait, and hope it gets to them. And plus hope they're honest enough to admit that they got it.
Right.
Because we have no way to know if they did get it.
So the problem is they opened a case in PayPal. So I'm in PayPal just like, here's the tracking, please be patient. I obviously sent it. You can see I sent it. The good thing is, if I do have to pay them their money back, I did get insurance, ShipSaver insurance, and they will cover for non-delivery.
Oh, good.
So, to France. So we'll see what happens. So far, they haven't really said anything after I was like, I can't control customs in France. I sent it.
The problem is it's just these little tiny things that you have to deal with. It's just like a little bit of worry.
Yeah.
Kind of pops up through the day. It's something that like interrupts our like focus and flow because it's something that you have to deal with, and then you can't help but kind of think about it and be a little bit worried about it.
Well, and also like PayPal's holding my money. It's $65 because they paid 20 something to ship it, and it was $40.
And if ship cover, it's cool if they would cover it, but then it's like you have to go through their process, and so that's why I understand that global shipping seems more expensive, but
it is guaranteed to get there. And if it gets there and it's damaged, then eBay covers it.
Right.
You know, stuff like that. Or I've had someone claim they never got their thing, or it went to customs and they weren't allowed to pick it up. eBay takes care of it. I'm just like,
Right.
talk to eBay.
And there's full tracking, too.
Full tracking.
It shows you where everything is.
I mean, when the global shipping program started, like 2 years ago, I was like, oh, thank God.
Right.
Because I am so sick of shipping things. And people don't want to pay more than first class most
Right.
of the time. I mean, but that, you know, like you said, global shipping is more expensive. But we try to say, look, you're going to have full tracking, full insurance.
Right.
You're going to get it in like a week.
Yeah. I mean, I think that global shipping is just priority mail with the fees that they would pay
Right.
included. Now, what people, I'm sure there are people in Canada is that say,
It's March.
we don't normally have to pay those fees.
Like the import fees.
I don't know. It's like that's the rule of your country, but maybe they don't follow their rules all the time.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, but that's just, you know, eBay is charging the cost
What it's supposed
of
to
the
be.
customs
Yeah.
that your country
Is
expects
saying
you to
they-
pay,
yeah.
the VAT taxes and all that
Right,
stuff.
exactly.
So, you know,
Yeah.
we're okay with it losing some sales to not have to deal with this.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it's worth it because I know it's going to get there. So another issue, and this was an issue as a buyer, I got a light fixture that needed the glass globes. So I bought the 4 glass globes. They were the right size. They were exactly what I wanted, etc., etc. And the person shipped them to me, and they packed them so poorly that every single one was broken when I opened the box.
So how do they pack it?
Okay, so they have a cardboard box. They have 4 glass globes. They wrap the glass globes in the little bubble wrap, just one layer of bubble wrap, and then they put them in the box.
Right, it's next to each other.
Right next to each other,
Yeah.
with the top of the cardboard right on top
Right.
of the glass.
So you could just barely drop it, and they would all just bang against each
Yeah.
other. Yeah.
And if someone put a box on top of that, smushed.
Right.
That's exactly
It
what
should be
happened.
double boxed, right?
Yeah. So unfortunately, with something like this, 4 glass globes, you need to wrap it in bubble wrap. Medium to large bubble wrap is what I would do, and then put it in a box and put all 4 of those boxes in a box. Granted, that's a lot more work, a lot more time, but it's going to get to your customer, and you're not going to have
Right.
to pay them. So here's the problem. I messaged the buyer. I said, all of these are broken. No response. I opened a case. Said, item arrived damaged. I would like a full refund. No response from the buyer. And then this morning, this is like 48 hours later, eBay refunded all my money.
Yeah. And so this
Including
is where,
shipping.
This is where I imagine right now in the eBay forums, there's a seller who is saying this: eBay are thieves. They're scammers. They took money out of my PayPal account without notifying me, without, blah, blah, blah. It's just like that's... I know that that's happening, and it's because this person just has not wanted to deal with a problem.
It's just so weird. It's like...
Of course they're pissed off because they're like, oh, I sold these globes and they're all broken. I don't have to give back all the money.
Right.
And,
And you're like, first of all, it could have been avoided by proper packing. I've
Right.
shipped very delicate glass things to people across the country
Sure.
without an issue.
But also, though, we were very slow to get into selling glass and all this
Yes.
stuff. Because of
It's
this.
a lot of work.
But the glass we do sell has to be worth enough
Right.
to go through
Right.
all the trouble it is to pack. Like this is lady or man, it's not worth it to pack these 4 globes.
Delicate, thin glass
For
globes.
how much? How much you put
$16.
$16. I mean, that's just not worth it,
It's just, you know what? I should have known. I should have known that it's just so crazy.
But that's why it's interesting when people buy from us, especially if it's something delicate.
Yeah.
We often,
Yeah.
20% of the time, get a message. They're like, please pack this well. I've tried to buy this before and it's come broken,
Right. Right.
So,
I get those messages, actually, I would say more than 20%.
Really?
Where people, well, you don't see the messages because
'cause they
someone
come
will put
through.
it through, like, the
Right.
payment, and then I see it on when I'm printing a label. Yeah, they'll be like, I bought these from someone else and it broke the padding, on the envelope, and, only half of them came. I'm like, oh my God,
So, we feel for a seller that goes through a problem. I get it sucks, but, you have to treat people right, and you have to be, it's responsible for, and just learn.
The other issue, too, is she never messaged me ever, like, let's figure this out, or I'm sorry, or let's do an insurance claim, or anything like that. So what do you think I'm going to do? Am I going to give her neutral feedback? Yes, I am, because she did not say a word to me, and I had to get...
Now, if she or he had messaged you and said, I'm sorry, here's all your money, would you give her a negative feedback?
No, not at all. Yeah. I'd be like, professional seller, positive. I mean, I would be like, you need to pack glass better, but... Yeah.
I mean, I hate to put someone through a ringer, but that's what I guess it's neutral and negative feedback is for, is to, like, alert a seller, like, something's got to change here.
Yeah. The problem with sellers like that is there are a lot of them on eBay, and they give that impression, and people have that experience, and they don't want to shop on eBay because they're like, I'm not going to buy a delicate thing on eBay again. The last time it came broken.
I see that sometimes in the Reddit forums, because a lot of the people are new.
Yeah.
And it's fun. You go out, you buy stuff, you sell stuff. Hey, it's cool. It's like, this is great. But then you start getting into selling stuff. It's like this. And then something breaks, and then that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where you see, are you really a seller? Like, are you there?
Yeah, are you there to solve the problem?
Like, take responsibility and solve the problem, or, like, are you just, I see it's like, I'm just a guy, like, I'm just selling some junk, like, this is too complicated, like, okay, it broke, like, what do you want me to do? I bet you dropped it, it's it's your fault. You did it!
Whoa! You're turning into like a 5-year-old here.
So I think that's, eBay has that thing where it's like, come on, just pick up your phone and sell stuff around your house. No problem,
Well, I think that's what this lady did, and then shit got broken.
Yeah, which, She's
selling some other glass stuff, too. I'm like, oh,
good
lady.
Luck. And then we had a coat sent back to us because it didn't fit.
But it wasn't a problem.
Hassle-free. They said, I changed my mind.
No, they didn't say they changed their mind. They said it didn't fit.
Right. So if they pay for the shipping, and no problem.
The restocking fee.
All
so
good.
I'm about to relist that
And
tonight.
I will say, because we've been talking about the changes eBay has made over the past several years.
Yeah.
Hassle-free, its returns. I was one of the ones that was extremely skeptical.
Yep.
I was very skeptical.
Yep.
And it turned out to be a wonderful program.
I think it's great.
Wonderful.
And I've had it when I thought someone was, in quotes, abusing it, or most of the time just using it wrong and not realizing it. I've called eBay and had that fixed.
Yeah. I mean, my skepticism was, I just assumed, I was being very... It's negative. It was like, everyone's going to just try and scam us. They're going to want to just send it back.
Item not as described.
Say it's our fault, and we have to, like, get hit with all these shipping fees. But I forget, most people are good and honest. Like, they don't want trouble. They want to take its responsibility for their choices.
Right.
And it's really good. And, I have to always... it's myself and other people that if you have trust in people, for the most part, you're going to come out okay.
It's going to be okay. Yeah. And we found that to be true.
Yep.
So what do we do this week, Jay? Remind me.
Sure. So we are full-time. We sell on eBay full-time.
Yeah.
Like, we sell on eBay full-time. 24 hours a day, our eBay store is ready to, like, you can buy.
You can buy our junk.
And we are really great items. And you know what? We try and put in full-time days.
Yeah, we try, yeah.
Like, we do that. But you know what? Things come up.
Yeah.
And the good news is that, our business is flexible enough where it can handle that.
Yep.
And this was one of those weeks I really, we're about to do some traveling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've got stuff I want to do. And I'm just like, let's just do it. And this was one of those weeks where I feel like we couldn't really get going because things would pop up. We'd have to go into town.
Yeah.
We have to meet some people.
Right.
You know, this meeting is happening. But we put in like 2 full-time days, and then we did good. Like, there were a couple afternoons where we only had like 2 hours. And we were super productive during those 2 hours. And I think that's the other thing I forget. It's not just about like, you got to put in 40 hours.
Yeah.
It's got to be, for us, it's about putting in really quality time.
It's like concentrated time.
Like, there were those 2 hours yesterday.
Yeah.
Because we went to an auction last night.
Right.
And we did 2 hours of work. I got some good stuff done.
Yeah.
But you got a lot of stuff up on eBay in those 2 hours.
Well, that's what's fun, too, about the way we're listing now, is that I'm like, if I am, working for 2 hours, I can actually get a good amount done in 2 hours. So I feel good about that work. Like, oh, I didn't just list 10 things. It's like, no, I listed like 30 things in 2 hours.
Right. So,
which is amazing.
I think that's the other thing, too, is that when you get your store kind of up and going, we always talk about bulking up your inventory.
Yeah.
So then things are just selling. We find that we don't always have to be, it's working full time, but we always have to be on top of details.
Yeah.
Like, I might not be specifically doing eBay at the moment, but if a question pops up, I'm answering it, even if I'm in a meeting in town, or I'm working out, or working in the yard.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still on call. It's almost like, I think that's how it is. It's like God, I don't want to say like we're like doctors, but,
well, no.
we're like people that are on call, where if you have, it's like a little beeper, and you have to like take care of business when it comes up.
Right.
But if nothing comes up, you're allowed to do all these other things.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's like that with the rental house. Right. You're on call. Your renters could call you at any time and need something.
Yep.
So it's a similar thing where you're like, I'm ready, I'm available.
Okay, and you had mentioned this earlier, that the day has finally come that I never thought would happen.
Yep.
That, I take photos of everything and write like a description in the title, and you list it.
Right, and we put them in folders. You do a folder, and then I list that
from
folder.
The beginning of us doing on eBay, I've always been able to take many more photos than you've been able to list. But the day has come, you've caught up to me.
Yeah.
Where now it's the exact opposite. I can't take photographs and write them fast enough.
Yeah.
Which is great news.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's incredible.
And it's all because we finally, saw the light and saw that we didn't need to list it with the template. Yeah, it's I can't believe it saves so much time, and I don't feel like I need to like write cute little sentences about stuff. I mean, I wasn't writing that much, but now I'm just like, I don't even need to say these are the measurements. This is the wear. Right. And also eBay, has many item specifics now, so all the information that anybody needs is like up top. Right. And that's, another good thing eBay has pushed the past several years.
Item specifics.
Really been pushing item specifics, so it's more of like it's more built into the listing, rather than just expecting people to just it's free format down.
Yeah, exactly. And because some people wouldn't put the color.
Right.
And
So, now there's like a form they have to fill out, like you have to say what the color is.
Right.
Or, I think the other thing that kind of helped us see that why we did need a template is this past a year or two, I feel like we've been buying a lot more on eBay. I know I have.
Stuff for ourselves, stuff for our house.
It's mainly for, like our rental house. And so we've been buying more. So I've been getting more of the experience as a buyer.
Right, exactly.
And so I see, I don't need a lot of, I don't need a template that looks good. I don't need, a lot of...
just tell me.
I don't need a story. Just, I need good photos, its measurements, and then just some, real key data about the item.
Is it worn? Yeah. Does it work?
Right. Yeah. It's knowing what the item is already.
Right.
So I don't need you to tell me what the item is. I just need to know the condition, that kind of thing. So You know, it's like we say, these are all experiments, and that's why we could never write one of these ebooks, because what we do is always changing.
Yeah, exactly.
So this week I interviewed Terminal 99.
Yeah, does he have a real name?
Will.
Will
is his real name.
Good. Okay.
Because, you know, and I thank people for encouraging us to do that.
Yeah.
He's a seller.
Scavenger.
He has a YouTube channel, and he had called in a couple of weeks ago. We're not going to post the interview actually for a couple weeks or so.
Yeah.
So, but I just wanted to kind of like let people know. And I would probably say he's the first seller that we've talked to that I relate to the most, because he has a huge store. He has like 6,500 items.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
you know,
crazy.
and these are just 6,500, you know, like yard sale kind of items, you know. Like, he's all in.
So he's got employees.
And that's the thing. So, you know, people said that he worked full time. He doesn't work full time. He still works 1 day a week.
Okay.
But he basically left his job full time. And he hired 2 full-time employees. He's had them for, I think, 2 years now.
Yeah.
And it's great, you know. He's just like, this is kind of like our job. They come at 9 a.m., they work downstairs in his basement.
Yeah.
They work together. You know, they all do different tasks. You know, and he says, like, that's the only way that I could list as much as I do. I couldn't do it any other way. And you know what that made me think? Basically, I'm your employee. You know?
I guess so.
Like,
we're not co-workers.
Well, yeah, but you know, you started. It's his store,
right?
You're selling some cool stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I joined, I was able to help, you know, exponentially grow the business.
Yeah.
Because if you have at least one, I mean, it'd be great if we had like somebody else. You know, you can really start whipping through stuff.
Yeah, you can. It's fast.
I mean, the good thing is I'm really cheap. I'm like
You're
super cheap labor.
You
like,
guys, nothing.
It's, you know, when I think about it, it's not much different than when I was cleaning toilets in 6th grade, making $2.25 an hour.
$2.25.
It's not that different.
Yeah,
now,
right.
You know.
Hey, you get half the business, man.
But so anyway, yeah, that interview will go up. We're going to post it when we start to travel, just so you guys have something to enjoy.
Yeah. So
we don't have to do as much work on the podcast while we're traveling.
Yeah. Although we still do, but we won't have our what's sold videos while we're traveling, so that's part of it.
Someone's like, you guys never do tutorials, and we really don't, and we're not going to really start. But I thought I would like to ask you, it's one thing.
Yes.
People were talking about amber and bakelite.
Yes.
So
on the comments this week,
some guy was like, I went to my mom's house and she has all this amber and bakelite. How do I tell?
How do I test it? Yeah.
And you know, the answer's obvious. Type it into
YouTube.
That's all we do.
Yep.
Like, but for bakelite, it's 409, right?
Yeah. So if you want to test for bakelite, it's so simple. In the United States, there's this cleaner called 409. My mom used to use it to clean the oven when I was little.
And it's that specific brand.
Yeah,
there's
409 cleaner. There's
yeah.
some kind of chemical in it that has a chemical reaction with bakelite. There's this other stuff called semichrome polish. It's a metal polish. It's just this little tube. It looks like toothpaste. You can also buy that. Look on eBay. You can buy it on eBay. You can buy it on Amazon. Okay, so either one of these products does the same thing. You put it on a Q-tip. And you rub it on the bakelite. And if the Q-tip turns a bright, like mustard yellow, that means that this item that you have is bakelite.
Yep.
And so you can advertise it as such. And what I do is when I've tested it, I'll take a picture of the Q-tip so people see it's tested. Because people are going to ask you if it's tested.
Right.
So you should just, usurp that question by already saying it's tested and have a picture of the Q-tip.
I love that word.
Usurp.
I love that.
So, the thing about amber, and so you can also see there's some videos that Scraparella did where she shows you how to test it. It's so simple. And she also has a great video on how to test for amber. And I learned everything about amber from Scraparella, so we could link to her. You can learn a lot from her video for testing amber. She has different ways. There's like 3 or 4 different ways to test for all natural amber. So.
But it's one way is you just take a bowl
Yeah.
and put
Salt water.
and add salt to it.
Yeah.
And there's a certain concoction, a certain amount of salt.
Yeah.
And if you throw the amber in it, it should float. Yeah.
If it doesn't float, it's plastic or Bakelite.
Right.
But hopefully you've tested it with 409 or semichrome and you know if it's Bakelite or not. Yeah. The thing about amber that's tough is amber feels very light, like plastic. And, if you kind of move it around in your hands, it sounds like plastic.
Right.
So most people think amber is plastic.
Right.
It's fake amber. Right. I have a necklace that's sitting on our table of doom right now that I was like, oh, this is definitely plastic. Nope, I did the test. It's actually amber.
Yeah.
So it is Baltic amber. I wouldn't consider it like the rich butterscotch amber, which is worth a lot of money right now. It's a Baltic amber, which I think goes for a little bit cheaper. It's like the translucent amber. Right. It's still beautiful. It's real amber. But, it's cool. Because what's cool about it is someone else on the blog this week was like, I found this box of what looked like amber at an estate sale, and they sold it to me for nothing. And it could be actually thousands of dollars worth of amber because they just thought it was plastic. Because it was mixed in with some plastic and some Bakelite and real amber. That's like a gold mine right there.
But it's tough for us. We have not learned how to really test or know for sure when you're out in the field. Like we talked about when we were in Amsterdam a couple of years ago on one of our trips. We kind of were really into Bakelite and amber. That was our big thing. That's what was exciting to us as a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
And we were buying all this stuff hoping it was amber or Bakelite, and it turned out not to be. It was
neither.
It was this other
kind of... You still sold it, but...
They were still beautiful pieces. Yeah. And we've been able to sell them for more than what we paid. But, we were thinking we're going to be making $1,000 a piece.
Dollars, yeah.
So... It is what it is because we can't be in this flea market dumping their necklaces in salt water.
Although I almost did, but
so it is what it is.
Yeah. So again, if you are curious about things like that, it's super easy to Google that stuff. But I do like Scraparella's videos about those things. I love her videos about jewelry. I've learned so much about jewelry through her videos. So I really like her videos.
So we always talk about our other business that we started because of eBay. eBay helped us pay for another business, and that's a rental property.
Vacation rental.
Yep. And so this week was fun because we had another trash elf come, her and her family.
It was Anna.
She talks on the blog. And it was her and her children. And
yes, so it was Anna and Karen, who is... her mother-in-law, and her kids Juliet and Elliot, and they're super cute.
Now I gotta say, if we had kids, I would want kids like these kids.
Yeah, and what was so funny, this totally stuck out to me. We were having dinner, or we had just finished dinner, we had dinner with them, and someone said something about an auction, blah, 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 auction prices, and Elliot sticks his head in from the other room, and he goes, why sell on auction when you can get the price you want for buy it now?
I think that...
It's like, oh my God.
I think their mom probably makes them listen to it in the car.
Either that or they just hear it all the time at the house.
But super cool. And
we met them last year too.
Yep, we
were like too. Old friends now.
Yep. But it was so cool because we had dinner with them.
Yeah.
It was so neat to actually see how people use our space because
at the house
when you put all the stuff in this house that people are going to come and enjoy, it's fun just to see if
what are they liking. Right.
So Anna gave us a lot of good feedback on what we could do better and things we could add, and that was really neat.
And it was cute because they were really into, there are these little berries called wine berries that are in season right now, and they're all around the property, and they were picking berries and looking at the cows next door.
Right, because the cows come right up to the fence.
The fence, so they're just
and there's all these little baby cows.
They're just really cute, And then she said that Elliot, so we have Apple TV we have this little separate cabin, which is the third bedroom, that Elliot was watching YouTube videos on the Apple TV and just totally psyched.
I mean, to me, that was our big concern when we started this thing was do we need to get TV?
Cable?
Get Dish TV?
ESPN.
And I remember when we were thinking about that, we went over to a friend of ours' house that has Dish TV, and we were like, okay, let's sit down and watch TV
TV
and see what it is.
what's up.
I swear, you know, there's like 500 channels or something. I would say over 50% were paid
Like advertising,
just like exercise and diet.
infomercials.
Like it's like they make you
Have
them. You can't just say, I just want these 10 channels.
Yeah.
And so that did the deal for us. And we were like,
No way.
we're just going to hope that people are up to date and they understand things like Apple TV and a Netflix. And just, you know, so we have a Netflix account logged in.
Yeah, we just have people sign into our Netflix account, or it's already signed in. Or if they want to sign into their own Netflix, they just sign in. Or like Elliot was watching stuff on YouTube.
I mean, and that's the thing. Of course, a young guy's just going to be like, he'd rather watch YouTube than just watch some crummy television.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it was so funny. It was great.
And it was neat. I mean, this is like, we sound like an advertisement for a place, but it was cool to hear the things they did. There's like a lake right down the road.
You can walk to the lake.
And it has like a beach with a lifeguard.
Yeah, you can rent little like paddle boats and stuff.
They went to the famous caverns that are in our town. and they have like a maze there. And
they have like a whole ropes course at that place, and they were like, it's so awesome. I'm like, I never even thought of doing that.
And I'm all about telling people now about a zoo.
Yeah,
we have a zoo. It's like, it's funny. It's
a little zoo.
It's like a little zoo. It's this guy that, I guess it's a rescue one, and he gets animals that people have like
abandoned,
exotic animals that people have abandoned,
right?
And he now takes care of them. And he kind of reminds me of who is that guy that died that got like stabbed in the heart? It's with a stingray. He was on TV. The Australian guy.
Yeah.
He's kind of like that guy.
He's like really into animals.
Yeah, it's like he's got his whole look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just funny he's in our town, but we do have a zoo, which is I still haven't been to. You have to take me to the zoo.
You to the zoo.
They have a tiger.
It's been around a long time.
Yeah, I know. And what's funny is the zoo is right next to one of our storage places where we have like, you know, some furniture stored. So when you go to get the furniture, you hear all these noises like an ostrich, like ah! You're like, what is going on? It's so funny.
So it was great to see them. So there are people right there right now. This month is totally booked. We just booked the last 2 days for this month. So between now and the end of its month, every day's booked. So we've been really busy. This past week, we've made almost as much money from our rental as we had
on eBay.
And so that was our goal, was to like have so we could like double our income. Yeah, but we've been spending. That's one reason why we've been able to do less eBay. Is we're spending more time cleaning.
It's a lot of cleaning.
I know people say, "Well, just go ahead and hire someone." I don't think we're quite there yet.
We're not there yet.
We really.
I wanna keep the money in the household if we can.
But I gotta say, I never really thought that I would like hospitality.
Yeah, me either.
It is not like a B&B. People get confused because we use Airbnb. So it sounds like it's a B&B. It's not an Airbnb.
No.
I'm not cooking for you. There's no breakfast. You know, it's like, here's a place.
See you later.
Hand over the keys.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Basically, we say, if you need anything, just call us.
Yeah. But I enjoy it. I always cut flowers for people.
Oh my God, it's so cute.
It's so
Jay
beautiful.
always cuts flowers for people.
Yeah, because we have flowers all in our yard.
But it looks so nice on the table.
I've got some magazines that people can read.
Guess what I do? Clean all the sheets and towels for everyone.
That's right. Hey,
I think that's pretty important.
I clean the kitchen.
It's a lot of laundry, but you know what? You just throw it in the washing machine, and then throw it in the dryer.
Yep, that's what people
It's not like I'm hand washing that stuff.
That's what people do. So anyway, now our big thing is fall. So fall is relatively open. So people have started to book, but we really, I won't feel good until like our fall is totally booked. And that's really the prime I mean, I feel like there's going to be no doubt it's going to be full because that's when people come.
Fall is beautiful.
Leaf peepers.
The peepers. You never heard of that before, because in New England, that's what people do.
In Texas, the leaves don't change colors.
Yeah,
so always
the
green.
leaf peepers come out, and fall's nice because it's cooler, but it's not cold.
Right.
You know, it's like it's still
It's
pretty
great weather. And,
it's perfect weather. It's almost like the spring. It's just so.
And we probably have some of the best hiking on the East Coast.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Okay, so some news. It's actually quite
breaking
a bit.
news.
So Dan, we've been helping to just announce that there was a meetup in Seattle.
Scavenger meetup.
And so Dan is the one that put this together, and he sent us an email that said it went great. He said 12 people came.
And he sent us a photo.
Yeah, so we'll post a photo on the blog. So it's cool.
So when I saw that photo, I was like, that is so awesome.
Right. And he said, like, some people had been selling on eBay for a long time, and he said some people were, like, brand new. Was like, how do I do this? So it was cool. And he says they're going to meet again, so...
That's awesome. So here's the thing. Someone had asked a couple weeks ago, someone in, like, Southern California, like Orange County, how do I meet other people, meet other sellers, meet other scavengers? Anyone can do a meetup. Dan just did a meetup at a Denny's. All he did was named a time and a place.
Yep.
And he called in and announced it. So if you want to call in and announce it,
we'll play it.
And do it, a couple months ahead so that people can get it on their radar.
He was good too because he also had like agenda, which I think is nice.
That's cool.
So people know what they're getting into. Right. Like, there's like an opening. Like,
we'll do intros.
Yeah, and then just like, what do you sell? I don't know.
Yeah.
I can copy and paste what he did. I think that's smart because no one just wants to go to some random just like
we don't know what to talk about type thing. But I think that I was actually so impressed by that. I was like, that is really, really cool.
Seattle people are pretty cool.
Seattle's, pretty cool. Hip. Yeah.
So we did a post on Friday. We now do these kind of open...
Q&A.
But, I always try and post something on there that's interesting. So I put a video that Mark had sent me, and Andy had seen it, and he sent me something, and then it's Brian has mentioned on the blog. So it was coming... Everyone started to notice that eBay has started this new transactions defect report.
Yeah, so when you used to look at your defects, which I hope people know because you should be looking at them, it just gave you the item number. You were like, what the hell is that?
It was like a 1990 chart.
Yeah.
With no links. It was just like
links.
an item, its number, and then it said that there was a defect, and you had to copy and paste the a number to try and find the item.
It's so funny because you're like, why didn't they just link to it?
Now, some people were saying that they didn't see it yet. We just saw it yesterday.
Yeah.
But people had been seeing it
for a while.
A week before, so they're probably slowly rolling it out.
They're slowly rolling it out.
But if you watch the video on our site from Friday, they tell you how to find it. I mean, it's where its defect report always is. But it looks good. It looks like a modern, contemporary website with, color-coded, and there's a link so you can click on the item. It tells you exactly why the person...
Right.
And it shows you where you had a defect, but it got taken away.
It got removed. You should see mine. There's so many removed. I feel like the next rep that looks will be like, you get every defect removed. But you must be crazy.
I mean, I know everyone loves to hate on eBay, but I gotta say, you have to give credit where credit's due. That's a good step on the right direction. Yeah. I mean, it's something that is not sexy and cool. Like, a buyer isn't going to care or know about this, but this is good for a seller. And supposedly, I keep hearing they're going to have a new way to look at data of who's coming to
like analytics,
analytics,
which is so helpful. Like, if there's some forum somewhere that's linking to our belt buckles, I want to go talk to those people.
Right.
But I never know,
I'd love to know if someone's bought from us before like a year ago or 2 years ago. I'd love to know that.
Exactly. So it's just such simple things like that I'm hoping is coming.
Now, we talked about Amazon on Friday, had their Black Friday sale.
Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Oh.
Because, in the summer, in the winter time, there's a Black Friday.
Black Friday, so they did a summer.
And
wasn't it called Prime Day?
Yeah, it's called Prime Day.
Yeah.
But, what was it on Friday?
No, it was on the 15th. That wasn't Friday.
Okay.
'Cause Friday was yesterday.
It was like Black Friday. It was like Black Friday in the
summer.
Yeah, in the summer. Anyway,
Yeah.
It's called Prime Day, and the whole thing is because everyone's talking about how slow it is. Well, it's not just each of our individual eBay stores.
It's Amazon.
It's everyone.
Yeah.
Amazon's like, shit is slow.
Yeah. They're like
what
the
do we
biggest
do?
online retailer besides eBay, and they're like, it's slow.
So they tried to do this big sale, and it kind of fizzled. Like, everyone was like, I didn't really see any cool sales.
Like, I didn't want to buy any
And
of that
so
stuff.
I'm going to link to a couple of articles.
Lots of people sent us these articles.
And I found a good one too, where basically the point of the article is just like things are slow because people are tired. I think people can't buy all the time. People are getting inundated with sales. When everything's always for sale, then no one wants to buy all the time because they're waiting for the next sale. It's just like it's too much. That's why we always say on eBay, like, if you have a good item, price it high.
Yeah, and wait.
And then just wait. And let people make offers so you can take it if you want or not. But it's not this whole thing like you price it high, like in a fake way, and then put 75% off because people think they're getting a deal. It's just like American consumers are too smart for that.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
When I buy something on Amazon or eBay, when someone's like 75% off, I'm like, what? It's the same price as the one that's normally priced.
Yeah, that's just regularly
this is like a fake
that.
sale.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I think the other thing is, too, you just can't, like, force stuff down people's throat. Like, people are going to buy when they're going to buy.
Yeah, and also, it's like you're saying, I think the biggest thing for me was, people are shopping for deals when they need stuff all the time.
Right.
Especially with Amazon and with eBay.
Right.
And whatever, Alibaba, wherever people are like buying stuff for cheap, you're buying cheap shit all the time.
Right.
So it's like when stuff's on sale, you're like, well, I already have a TV, so I don't really know.
And that's why I guess it's for us, our antidote to just people being kind of tired of buying is to try and find weird little cool items, because those are the things that people are willing to pay for because it's nostalgia. It reminds them of the past. It's something that's kind of cool. It feels authentic. It's something exciting. It's something that they can't find somewhere else. Like those are items that.
Here's one quick example. I sold a JanSport backpack this morning, yellow leather bottom JanSport backpack. I sold it for $70. I went back and forth with this person all morning to get $70.
It's wanted $125.
I wanted $125. I wanted $90.
Right.
Finally, we settled at $70. And then Anna came on the blog and was like, "You can buy a brand new one that looks exactly like that on jansport.com for $58.
Right.
Why did this person pay $70? My immediate reaction was because this is a vintage one.
Right. Because it is a little bit different, like some of the pockets are different, and if this person had it when they were a kid, like in high school,
they want that one.
It's like they're like it's a new one that looks like it is not a good
real,
substitute, And she even said in her last, she said, I can pay $70. Why am I paying $70 for a used bag? But I really want it.
That's what she said. That's what the buyer said.
You can always tell. I do like when people put in notes in their things. You can kind of tell when people are at their limit.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone else sent us a link about the eBay PayPal split.
I don't like to talk about this so much because it's like talking about PayPal as like this big corporation and like trying to think of it as if you're a stockholder and how you feel about it. But it's an interesting article on CNET where, and Eric sent this to us, where he's like the new CEO
of eBay.
It's going to be a new guy who's worked in there, but it's not John Donahue that people seem to think. He says in an article that he wants to bring eBay back to kind of the mom and pop
Roots.
Roots. You know, he admits that eBay the past 5 or 6 or 8 years was trying to become more like the dollar store.
Like Amazon.
Just like, all these Chinese sellers.
Target, Walmart.
Junk, you know. And so he's like, I'm going to get back to the roots. Obviously, let's see. But it's good to hear something like that, you know? So changes in the air.
Right.
Anything could happen. And then I found a tool that you can see what's sold on Etsy without having to look in the...
Whatever, the HTML code.
HTML code. So I will link to that. It's on flippertools.com. And,
oh, that's great. So you'll be able to put in the link to the Etsy.
Yeah, so if you just put in, I forgot if it's an item, a number, or if you can just put in a link to the item, and then it spits out.
That's awesome. Because a lot of times you'll find, okay, say it's like this vintage mug, and the only one ever sold was on Etsy. And you're like, but how much did it sell for? And they don't show it, which to me is crazy.
I don't understand why don't
they just show it?
Why they don't allow that feedback, you know, that because that's really what makes eBay so valuable.
Because you know how to price your stuff. You're like, is this worth $10 or $100?
Totally.
I don't know. And sold items will tell you.
Yep. So anyway, some guy probably just made that, whipped it up.
I'm going to try that. That's fun. Okay, things we learned in the comments this week.
Yep, it was another good week. Part of us enjoying doing this podcast is kind of like we feel we get paid back with comments. We love all the conversation going on.
Yes.
That helps us get us through our week.
Yeah, I love reading the blog comments.
Yeah.
We've heard from several people lately, actually, who are quitting their jobs to scavenge full time.
It really is kind of a dream to see that, to see people say, you know, we started selling eBay, we did the research, we worked hard, we figured it out, and now either I'm quitting my job or my wife is quitting her job or, to do this full time. And really, when we started this podcast, I mean, that's what we dreamed of. We dreamed of meeting other people who are as passionate as we were about this, wanting to just basically take back their own time.
Yeah.
So it was good to see that.
I love hearing that story.
Yeah. It was interesting, too. I think I counted 5 people this past week who said this was their best week since they started on eBay.
It's so funny because people talk about the summer being super slow, but yet there's some people who are like, I just sold a ton of stuff.
Well, I think that just shows, I think these were people who are still relatively, it's new, maybe it's just in the past 6-8 months, I think it just goes to show that eBay's not a black or white, on-off kind of thing. It's different for everybody, so your slow week, I could have a good week, it depends on what kind of things you sell, what you priced it at.
If you're listing, if you're not listing.
Yeah, all those things. So it's good to read the good with the bad.
Yeah.
And I think it is interesting, though, when things are good for people.
They're not complaining.
You don't hear the complaints of throttling. And I do wonder, we talked about this on the blog, I do wonder the people who are really, and they're normally always anonymous, the people who are really into, they almost trying to scientifically explain it's throttling because of all these reasons. I assume that they have good weeks.
Yeah.
Because it can't always be bad. How do they explain the good weeks and their throttling?
Well,
I'm sure there's a reason. I should not get involved in conspiracy theories. So.
Yeah, but a lot of times people are like, well, that means they're showing me more on search.
Yeah.
Those...
I think really the easiest answer is always, or is normally the right answer, and that is, people did not want your stuff that week. And then, we definitely have those weeks.
Yeah.
And,
in those days, yeah.
And we just, roll with it.
Right.
We also had an interesting conversation about selling Coach bags or, fancy designer stuff.
Bags and jewelry and stuff like that.
And, the conversation was about, how do you make sure it's not a counterfeit? And, eBay's very strict on that. And that's, one of the ways to really get in trouble with eBay is if you're caught selling counterfeit items, whether it's know it or not.
Right.
And and that's the argument I have as we talked about it is last week. I said, well, just do it your best, do the research because there's lots of sites that will help you try and figure it out.
Yeah.
And then just put it up there.
Right.
and someone was like, you can't do that because you can't even have a 1% doubt that it's not real. But my thing is, unless you actually buy it from the store and have the receipt, there's no way to really tell.
Yeah, there's no real proof.
You can look at the stitching and the quality, but that's really not a guarantee.
Yeah, because there's some really good fakes out there.
So that's why we don't really focus on those items. But to be honest with you,
we don't find them very often.
I don't see it that much.
I mean, I have a vintage Coach bag from the 70s that I have listed. I mean, it's definitely real and vintage. Right. I would say
100% sure.
I mean, not 100% sure, but it's weird that they would counterfeit a 1970s Coach bag that's
kind of beat up.
That someone smoked, and put their cigarettes in for 20 years because that's what it smelled like when I got it.
I guess it's my point is it's just like one of those arguments like, some people say, well, we do really well with that stuff, and that's cool. I guess my point is we just do not run across that stuff very often because normally if there's like, a real Coach bag, it's in a glass case or at the estate sale, it's at the front table and they have a crazy price on it. And if it's at a Goodwill and it's really cheap, we assume
it's fake.
It's going to be fake.
Or at a yard sale with a bunch of purses from Walmart, you're like, okay, this is clearly a fake.
So, yeah. So it's for us is kind of a moot point because.
Well, what I look for bags too is like I'll look for high quality brands that don't get counterfeited.
Right.
I can't even think of what brands I find, but like I found a new with tags at a yard sale, Coldwater Creek leather, kind of like hip bag for like a young person. I wouldn't think it was like for an older person or whatever. And, I don't think Coldwater Creek is getting counterfeit. So I bought it and I put it up for like $50,
I think I read somewhere, this is a total side note that I can't expand on, but I think I read that company went out of business.
Coldwater Creek?
Or went bankrupt or something.
I don't know because like they were the biggest thing for a while.
Right. I was just reading about how I think they're from Idaho or something, and that they were like a huge company there and that they...
Yeah, I don't see any news about it.
Then maybe
they got new owners.
Oh, okay.
Coldwater Creek's new owners say brand will return to its roots.
So they filed bankruptcy.
Gotcha.
Anyway, that's what happens to these brands. But to just kind of wrap up this part, the reason why eBay is so strict on fakes, I don't blame them, is because if you go to like Alibaba, you can buy a pallet full of cheap fake name brand items, whether it be Coach or any of these other brands. So
North Face,
and and if you want to get into the real depths, there are forums where people talk about how to sell fake stuff on eBay and how to get around, and if you get caught, how to get a second account and how to buy accounts with good standing so then you can sell fakes again.
Oh my God, buy accounts. I never even heard of that.
Yeah, because, like those are valuable to have.
Wow, so. That's crazy.
And then someone asked, just as about our gardening. We've talked about how we do a bit of gardening and we have bees and stuff.
I was just talking to my mom last night and telling her how lazy I have been about our garden. Our kale is all completely eaten by caterpillars right now.
That would be normal. Kale is a cold weather crop, so by now
the bugs just get to it. But if you're vigilant about it, you can like pick them off. And
True.
It just, I don't have time to do it.
Yeah, we've been, we have a small garden. We have some
4 raised beds,
a lettuce, some tomatoes growing. We had some kale, which is great.
We grew garlic. We already harvested that
garlic, and then we have some loofahs.
Yeah, loofahs,
which we planted. Which I don't know if people know this. I didn't know this. Those things that people buy to put in the shower. I always thought that was like
a sea
urchin or something.
A sea urchin.
But it's actually a gourd.
Yeah, it's like a squash. Loofahs are like a squash. They look like zucchini, basically. Right. And so what you do is you grow them just like zucchini. They look like a squash plant. and then you let them dry out, and all the goo inside dries out, and it leaves that like loofah sponge thing.
And then you cut up, and
They're
we actually make them, or we grow them, and that's what we use in our sinks for like sponges
to scrub our dishes. I love it. I love it because it's biodegradable. So once it starts to really break down, which takes a while, a couple of months, I just throw it in the compost instead of buying like those green scrubbies, you know.
But at the end of the day, we do like our garden, but I mean, honestly, we've been a little bit lazy, and also it's just tough when you really get into full-time scavenging. It's almost like you can get stuff cheaper than just growing it yourself.
Yeah.
Like food, we just discovered we can get so much food for so cheap. I mean,
I mean, the other thing too is it is time consuming, like we said, to make sure you're doing it right. And because the rental house is really busy during the summer too, doing eBay, doing the rental house, and preparing for our trips, it's like I don't have any spare time for being a gardener. We haven't even harvested our honey this year yet, so that has to get done.
It's no excuses. That's just the way it is.
It's just,
and then the last thing someone talked about in the comments, which I thought was interesting, was Mark. There's a couple of them, but one of the Marks said that he found a way to get smells out of things.
Yes.
And he says it's an ozone cleaner.
Right. Yeah, so this ozone cleaner, actually, Kate was good. She linked to it through the EPA website because, like, these ozone cleaners, they, like, change the molecules in the air. So, like...
It can be dangerous.
It can be dangerous. Like, Mark was saying, don't leave any small pets or potted plants in the room, like if you run the ozone cleaner in a bathroom,
because it will kill them.
It will kill them. So I'm kind of like, I don't want to do that in my house.
But I did read about them, and this is what they had used when a house has a renter and it's really smelly,
like they smoked or something,
or if someone has died in a house, or if like an animal has died. It somehow it changes the composition of the air.
Right.
It makes ozone.
Right.
And
it
kills
it cleans the air somehow.
But it comes with a lot of warnings, I guess. And
it's like, don't hang out in there while it's running.
But you can buy these things on Amazon.
Yeah, you can buy them.
That's interesting. We don't really have enough smelly stuff to invest in something like that. But he said that he just put the ozone cleaner generator thing in his bathroom.
And ran a fan.
Yeah, and ran a fan, and then, hung the items up, and then closed the door and put a towel at the bottom.
Yeah.
It allowed it to run, turned it off, and then, allowed it to kind of air out.
Yeah,
so,
and he said they came out great.
Cool.
So that's an interesting... I never actually heard... I've heard of them, but I didn't really think what they were for, really.
Good to know. Like, if we were ever to buy, like, a big carload of cool stuff, but it smelled like smoke, I would invest $70 in one of those things.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so our coming week, we continue. I continue to fight, to struggle, to take pictures of all of these plastic containers we have of... It's basically our mega death pile, a 3-year death pile that I'm going through.
Well, so here's the thing. I was thinking, because I'm pretty much caught up. Like, I have... Right. Well, now I have a folder and a half to list. But what I could do is, because we're going to be traveling, and it might be cool to be listing while we're traveling, what I should do is I should take the photos and then hand it to you, and you type up the title and do the measurements, because that way we could just have, like, a whole assembly line happening, and it's faster.
I like that.
And my photos look nicer, so... I'm just kidding. Your photos are good.
Yeah.
So, I think that could be a way to get a stockpile going, so that when because we're going to New York for 2 weeks, not that I don't want to just be, like, hang out in New York, but sometimes it's really hot during the day, so I'm like, I just want to sit inside during the day and go out at night. So,
plus we're, people that like to be busy.
Yeah, I like to be working.
Enjoyable to us.
I don't like to just be, like, spending money.
I know how to... a list now, I learned this past year, so
and it's so much easier. I mean, it's even easier now.
That's great.
So we could, like, double list.
So I think I said we had like 20 or 24 bins. I only did 2 last week. There's another issue we have, and it's a good problem to have, is that we're scavenging. So it's like
we went shopping last week.
It's like, I'm working on the old stuff, but a new stuff is coming in. So I probably have, a good day or two of the stuff we just got.
The other thing about the bins too is if you have a big tub and it's filled with little things,
it can take
like an eraser.
Right.
It's like if it's filled with things like that, there's a lot of stuff in those bins.
Yeah.
It's not just like 5 big things.
Okay, but I like that. We're going to work together.
Yeah.
We're going to rock and roll in the photos.
And the good thing is, I just checked our renter's calendar, and someone's renting today. We have to clean the house and flip it, and the next people are coming. But they don't check out till Friday.
Right.
So we have a whole week.
Right. It's interesting. They're driving all the way from
Minnesota, right?
So it's it's kind of an exciting feeling that someone saw our place online, booked it, and has planned a family vacation where they're driving across the country right now to come to stay in our place.
Yeah, it's cool.
And, we have to step up and provide an enjoyable time.
And you know what? So far we have.
And you know what? I'm going to cut some flowers and make a nice little
bouquet. Yeah, and I'm going to provide nice clean linens and towels
they like
as
that.
usual. So.
Okay, so we're going to answer questions. People either can call in or you can also email the questions to us.
Yes, so the phone number is 540-407-8486, or you can email us. The email is thescavengerlife, all one word, @gmail.com. So first voicemail.
Scavenger Life! Just ran across those mugs y'all are offering for sale. I don't know if those are new or not, but I got a hoot out of reading them. When are they going to be available with the little Scavenger Life logo that shows y'all like with a trash can on the other side? Now that, on the other side that's blank, would be great. I'd probably collect all 20 of them just for hoot. And the day I run across one of those in a thrift store, it's going to be a hoot. I'll report back on that as well. Anyway, keep up the great work.
This guy makes me laugh so much because I can't tell if he's trolling us. I'm like,
No, he's not.
I know, no, I'm joking, but he's hilarious. Yeah, I should make, the mugs are not super new. I think we've had them since
Earlier this year,
the beginning of this year, but
if we make them too complicated, they become too expensive.
They're too expensive
if
for
there's
people.
Colors
if there's color
or
yeah.
images and stuff like that.
So I keep it real simple, but
I have said that will be an interesting thing if like one day someone finds one of these mugs in a thrift store and it's got the website, and what if they go to the website and they find this this ancient community of scavengers,
Yeah, right, exactly. I would love. I'll double check the price on putting the logo on, and we'll see how much it costs because that would be kind of cute.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Teresa, and I am a fellow eBayer, and I absolutely, positively love all of your videos, and I watch them all faithfully. And I have a question for you. I actually have a replica of Darth Vader lightsaber that I got free at a yard sale because people could not figure out how to turn it on. And I know that the movie is coming out soon. I'm just wondering when I should list that. And I would really appreciate any advice you have to offer me. I just started selling in February, and hopefully with my next eBay transition, I will be becoming a top-rated seller. So, and I'm just looking for any advice. I don't want to hold on to that too long. I'm hoping to get the most, possible, the best possible price out of it, and I just am looking for any advice you have. Thank you, and have a good day.
Yeah, well, this is a good question, and people talk about if they should time their listings when movies are coming out or books and really it doesn't matter. I don't think
it matters, especially with Star Wars. People buy Star Wars stuff all the time. Doesn't matter if a movie's coming out.
We just sold this eraser from the Ghostbusters movie, and there's a movie coming out. I don't know when it is. I didn't check, but we elicited it as soon as we could, So ultimately, I don't think it really matter so much. I think it's important to, if you know a movie is coming out, it's not to wait.
Yeah, don't wait. Just put it out.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember we elicited some a Cesar Chavez stuff because there was a movie that can't come out,
and it did so.
But
that stuff, people collect that stuff all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't worry about timing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have an email.
So we got an email from someone. So she says, she's been selling on eBay as a hobby since 1999. We get this a lot.
Yeah.
And then she said she recently, a couple of years ago, I guess, quit her job because she just got so sick of it and has now been selling on eBay full time. Here's the deal. So I think like a lot of people, she started to sell stuff just around her home.
Right.
And she had a relative that had a bunch of stuff that he had saved. So she started to sell this stuff. And some of these things were like these plastic model kits.
Right.
And she saw that they can sell for a lot.
Yeah.
And so,
hundreds of dollars.
So I guess it's not really a question, but it's an interesting story. And so then she says that, she's not accustomed to selling things for $300 or $500. And so she just wanted to put it up for a lower amount because she felt like
less nervous about it.
But she said when she was doing it, she heard your voice, Ryan.
My voice.
Put a high price on it with make offer. Put a high price on it.
Yep.
So she actually put it up for $600 with make offer.
Yep.
She got immediate offers for $250, and she almost took it, but she slept on it, and she woke up the next day and had sold for full price.
Full price.
And she's got like in her emails like bold and like
exclamation points.
Yeah, I mean she's just like, this is amazing.
Yeah. So
and it's more of these too.
Great.
She's gonna do.
I love this story because I feel like I was looking up something yesterday that we're gonna sell. It's like a piece of electronics equipment. And I realized that this is a similar idea. These sell for around $150, but there's none listed right now. So I thought every single one that I've seen, on eBay, completed, sold for a good price. So I'm like, I'm going to put mine up higher because it's the only one that's going to be up there. And, maybe I'll put it on, higher with make offer and try to get the highest price, because if they always sell and they're popular and people want them, well, put a higher price on it because maybe people are underpricing these things, in general. So,
and you know what?
Yeah,
I know it sounds like I'm a master, that I've always known what I'm talking about, that I'm infinitely confident. I know I sound like that, but I will readily admit that I can remember the moments where I was the one who was afraid to put things up too high. I mean, I would just be like, how, we got this thing for $1.
Nothing,
like, there's no way, like, I don't feel ethically like it's a good thing to put this up for $200.
Right.
I mean, and why would, and plus I'd be afraid someone would get it and be like,
I paid $200.
You paid $1 for that? I'm like, how would, so you were the one that has always been like, I'm just putting up a high price. You
know why? Because I'm greedy. I want the most money. No, that's not true. Greedy.
I just think that you're always good at, like, I talk about the numbers too, and you're always like, look, this is what they sell for. This coat
is what
sells
they're worth.
For $200. We can sell this coat, and people will pay it.
It was the coat. I remember that coat.
It was that blue coat that this guy got.
You found.
I got it.
You found this.
I got it.
Okay, shut up. You found this designer Italian coat.
Yep.
It was wool, but it was this amazing, like, loops of wool. All these, like, loops. So it was this super puffy coat.
I got it at Goodwill for $5.
Yeah, for something really cheap.
In the middle of the summertime.
Right, sure, probably. Yes, it was. And we sold it for $250, like, overnight.
That was really a game changer in our business.
And that was a while ago.
And then we started realizing, like, man, we got to stop just selling shoes for $20. Like, exactly. People will pay this much.
Right. Like, this designer, this vintage designer is worth that much.
And like I said, I sound like I'm totally a confident guy. But we're even at that stage now where we're following people who sell on eBay because, as we talk about this, we always learn from other people.
Right.
These people, this guy sells stuff regularly for over $1,000.
Thousands of
And these are
dollars.
things he's finding at estate sales. I know he is. And so and we don't sell stuff for over $1,000
regularly,
every so
ever.
often. I'm like, man, like we need to get out of our brain pattern and try and find the things and then ask for that kind of cash. I mean, he'll sell things for $6,000.
Yeah.
And
But he's got access to amazing stuff.
yeah, but I don't see why we couldn't do that.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
It's about just giving yourself permission to do that.
Hi, Jay and Robin. This is Will from Barnhart, Missouri, and we started our family eBay store about a month ago, so we're still new at this. And I really enjoy your podcast. You guys are just pleasant to listen to, and I enjoy listening to you talk to each other, and sometimes I learn something also. But one question I had is, when listing items, eBay gives you a suggested price, and I was just wondering what your thoughts were. Like, how much weight do you give to what eBay suggests as a price, either for the auction for starting the bidding or for the fixed price, what they suggest? So anyway, you may have commented on that, but I haven't heard you comment on that, and I was just interested to hear what you had to say about it. Thank you. Goodbye.
It's number one, we love families who list. Families who list together
Stay together. No, families that list together make money together.
That's right.
So, eBay suggested price. It's funny. I've been listing lately and not seeing that. So, I don't know if it was an experimental thing with eBay where they give the suggested price. And I would take the suggested price into consideration
right.
Sometimes because I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much the price I'm going to put on it anyway.
But I've even seen on eBay recently, like when I'm buying stuff where, it'll say this item is cost, $20, but it's trending at $12.99 or something. They'll have like a trending price. So it's almost like its buyer, they're trying to say whether or not its price is good or not.
Right, like you could get it lower somewhere. That reminds me of Amazon because they're like.
I think that kind of stuff really only works, and I've listed a little bit, so I can speak.
You've seen
on
the
this.
suggested price
When you're dealing with like new items.
Yeah.
Normally, those kind of suggested prices are pretty good,
right?
Because everyone has the same exact thing.
Yeah.
But man, when it comes to like vintage stuff, it's whatever kind of equation they have is like totally off. Like they don't know.
I mean, sometimes with shoes, if I'm like Anne Klein leather pumps, they're like this usually sells for $35. I'm like, great, that's pretty much how much I was going to put it in.
Right.
But if I'm like, some vintage chandelier or whatever, I'm like, I'm putting whatever research that I've done.
There would be things where it would be like, you should put this up for $12.99, and I'm like, I'm going to put this up for $129. Like,
this is funny because it reminds me of Airbnb because they do that. Well, they're like. Suggested price based on other things in your area or whatever, and they always put the price so much lower because they're not seeing like what's cool about your house.
And
or
also for
special.
eBay, I mean its motivation is just stuff needs to move
it. Yeah,
like they want everyone to cram the prices down so things are just going out the door. And that's like Amazon too. And we're more of like get the value out of the items if you have something special.
Right, exactly. If you're not competing, like Jay was telling me the other day, I have, because I'm like a total Wi-Fi nerd, I have all these wireless routers, and Jay's just like, you gotta lower the price on these because there are like 100 other people with these routers.
100? There's 10,000.
10,000 other people.
Like things like Wi-Fi
like a Linksys router.
That's just like
I'm like, I want $25.
It's like you're selling adult diapers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you gotta move.
So basically, I need to make. Although I have done well when it's new in the box, you can do well. But if you're like, doesn't have a charger. Like, okay, yeah, that needs to be like $11 or less.
So I have another email.
Yes.
This woman says, she asks if we have any if we've ever had a scavenging heartbreak. And what she says is she was on a Facebook,
like a selling group.
A yard sale.
Yeah.
And there were two bears, like plush bears. And she was like, I don't need them. And then she went back and she actually did the research that they were like special Disney, and they're worth $700 each. And someone else had already bought them.
For like a couple bucks, right?
Probably. And so she's just like, she can't get, she's
can't get over it.
She's in that period of like crying and grief. And, like, how do you get over that? And I guess she's asking us and other people, have you ever had one of those heartbreaks where you could have bought something, you passed on it, and then,
I really don't think we have, because we usually, if I have a gut feeling on anything, whether it's little or big or whatever, it sounds like she didn't have a gut feeling. She was like, whatever, that's junk. I'll just get it.
Yeah.
If it's the right price, I'm just like, yeah.
That's what I told her. I mean, I was like, if I always buy something I think is cool, or I take the time to go over into the corner.
And do the research
and
right then. Like those bears, what should have happened is you're like, I don't care about those, but let me just look,
Yeah. But, as far as like trying to make her feel it's better, just like we always say, all lessons are expensive.
Yeah.
Let this be a lesson, and so next time you always do the research, or just buy it outright and figure it out
and then
later.
Make your money back if you need to.
But I will say, and I've shared this with Ryan all the time, I'm one of the guys who is always like, we need to get to this place, like someone right now is like picking up this
the
gorgeous
most valuable
item,
butterscotch
and
amber.
They're looking at it and they're judging, and we need to be there and get it.
Yeah, I don't think like that. I can't, because I would drive myself insane.
Yeah.
The things that are heartbreaking to me are this. When you buy something and it sits forever and you never get offers on it, and you think it's the coolest thing. Like my lamps, my green biomorphic 1950s lamps with the original fiberglass shades that I think gorgeous. Are amazing. They're like total art deco, like they're incredible. I've never gotten a single question or offer on them. I've had them for like 3 years.
Very strange.
That to me is heartbreaking. I'm like, there is really no one who wants these?
Yep.
That's crazy. Well, maybe for the right price, but no one's ever even offered me a single price for
I'm
it.
also the kind of scavenger where when we go to either a thrift store or a flea market or whatever, I have to look at everything. Like, we're in no hurry. I will sit there and we will go through every part of the thrift store, or, an estate sale. I'll go through every box, every closet.
Yep. You never know what you're going to find.
I can't walk away thinking like there is something hidden somewhere that I'm going to miss. And it's fun. And that's all about that hunger. It all feeds into that hunger because, and you know what? That has paid off for me.
Oh, all the time.
That's how I found that. I'm going to say it wrong. Compare. It was in a box in a corner underneath the table with like all these clothes draping down, and the pottery was all wrapped up.
You couldn't even see it.
So, but it was definitely about digging.
Making money on those for sure.
Hi, Ryan and Jay. This is Brian, the eBay Amazon seller. Just calling because I had been listening to your podcast. Ryan turned me on to the idea of the amber. Especially that butterscotch amber, just listening while I'm working, and that just kind of stuck. So at this estate sale today, at the bottom of a box, there was what looked like to be amber. So I grabbed it. The people who were running it, their remark was, I didn't think anybody was going to buy that. So got it for $1. Got it home. It is a pretty, what I assume to be a big piece. On my scale, it's 58 grams. But my question to you is, I don't want to damage this piece. I've looked up online the options there are to test it. Then I was just kind of throwing that out to you to see what you've done. I tried it like a little section with my goof offs that I use on books. 'Cause I guess that's like a solvent. Didn't come back tacky. Was able to shine a light through it, but I really think I got this piece of, I guess, like Baltic amber, and I'm so stoked. Thank you so much again. I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you two do. All right, thanks again. Bye now.
Okay, so as we were talking about earlier, and we'll link to this video, Scrapperella has a video on how to test for amber, and you don't have to do a burn test, which would help you determine, but if you don't want to ruin it, you can throw it in salt water. If it's Baltic amber, it will float in salt water. Another thing you can do is the static electricity test, where you take she takes like a little square of like toilet paper, like thin tissue paper, rubs the amber on her shirt just to get it real, like to build up the static electricity. And if the tissue paper like sticks to it, like it's static, that's amber.
Why?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
It has. Yeah. I have no idea.
Yeah,
why.
and
I'm sure you could read about it.
And there are other sites too where people are all about amber. I mean, you know, it's one of those things, and that's the thing about amber and Bakelite is that, you know, it can be kind of heartbreaking in a sense. Like, you know, our experience, we were experts by no means at all. You know, we've had experiences where we've sold a necklace for $1,300.
Yeah, right.
And then we've had other ones that seem to be the exact same thing
and sell for $50.
$50. So it's really kind of all over the place. And
so, you know, do the research. As I say, compare to what it's selling for, what you have. If you just have a chunk of Baltic amber, you know, it's not a beaded necklace, it's not carved. That can sell differently than, you know, an actual piece of jewelry. Right. So just, there's so many completed listings on eBay. Some of the prices are absolutely insane, like tens of thousands of dollars for a real amber, like big ass necklace.
And that's the thing that confuses us is that, you know, we'll see like a necklace that sells for $10,000 and the listing is super amateur. They don't say they've tested it.
Right.
There's no...
They just say they're like in somewhere in Europe, so people are like, it's obviously real amber.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I do like his story. He talked about being in a estate sale and digging in a box.
Yep.
I mean, there
buying
you go.
it for $1.
You know? And he talked about having a scale. Like, that's so awesome. Like,
yeah.
I love those little tiny scales.
This guy's a pro, obviously. So, so do the research, do the testing. You know, figure out what you can from this. Yeah. I would love to hear.
Please.
I would love to see a link to it when you list it, and I would also, if you send me a link, I'll follow it, so I'll see when you sell it. But I would also love to hear more information, like you can call in.
And one other thing, on the blog, for some reason, we have too many people named Brian.
Yeah, when you say Brian, I'm like,
if your name is Brian, we need everyone to self-identify with some cool. It's nickname.
Like, you're Butterscotch Amber Brian.
Yeah. No, Butterscotch Brian.
Butterscotch Brian. Delicious.
Because, and Mark's, too. We need, Mark. Like, people with Marks. Steve's.
Steve Schultz is good because he puts his last name,
That's
so
right.
I know which one it is.
Hello, folks. Mark here, and I have a question regarding clothing. I know it's not necessarily your focus, but you guys certainly sell enough clothing and know enough about the eBay market where I think you may be of some help. Here in Connecticut, I learned of a small XL discount outlet down near the shore that sold nothing but big and tall men's clothing at either 25, 50, or 75% off. So I had the idea that this may be a honey hole place to get stuff to do retail arbitrage for eBay. I went down there as a trial run and picked up 4 items to try to turn around and sell. And my question really becomes that I see a whole bunch of haul videos where you see these people, including sometimes yourselves, where they pick up something for $3 or $4 at a thrift store, and it may be a polo shirt or something like that, and it's used, and they manage to sell it for $29.99 used on eBay. Well, here it was. I found stuff, of course, new with tags and big and tall sizes, so I thought I had 2 ups on the situation, only to find when I got the stuff home, and it included Callaway golf shirts in 5X, which are, of course, hard to find, new with tags and name brand, and polo shirts in 4X new at tags that I was getting for 50% off retail, and in some cases 75% off retail, some of the stuff I got. I wasn't able to turn a profit when I looked it up when I got home and was looking at the solds and completed listings. And I actually had to haul the stuff back down there and return it, which was quite embarrassing. They allowed me to, even though it was an outlet store. But I wasn't able to sell the stuff after fees to make any real money. So my question involves, how come name brand clothing that is used, that people have really worn and soiled, can sell for $29 in some cases, but new with tags clothing, and in my case, big and tall stuff, doesn't sell at a substantial premium to make up for the fact that it's got new with tags to make it worth the jump from 29 to say 39 or 49. There's no difference with new with tags on eBay. There doesn't seem to be a spread, so to speak. That's the question, and I anxiously await your response. Thank you.
Another Mark.
Yep. Okay, so this is a good story, or a good, like, it's almost like a problem on an SAT test, you know?
The Scavenger SAT.
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
We can approach this from different angles. Number one, when a retail store says something is 75% off,
right,
we all know that that's like a fake sale, especially if it's like
right,
always 75% off or 50% off, you know?
Yeah.
They do that thing where
like
they
at
just
Kohl's or wherever.
raise the price, and then 75% off means that the price is going to be probably fairly close to what it should sell for. So
right,
it's like one of those, you know, fake sales.
Yeah.
Number two, this is like classic retail arbitrage, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're basically buying stuff at clearance and going to resell it on Amazon. And again, I'm not an expert at Amazon, but from what I see, you know, in retail arbitrage, they're only expecting $5, $10, you know,
yeah,
after they buy the thing. So, you know, they buy it for 10, sell it for 20 or a 15.
Right.
The money comes in volume. And the way that works is you have infinite quantity. So unlike us, where, you know, I find a one-of-a-kind thing, I buy it for $1, I sell it for $30, I get crazy profit, but those items, I can't keep buying that item. With this, you could go to that store and just have infinite quantity, I expect. Right. So you could make a listing on eBay or Amazon and just say I have quantity 100.
Right.
And just allow them to sell. So
yeah,
if you sold 200 of these big shirts,
right,
and only made $5 on each of them, that's $1,000.
Right, but you have to front the money first to buy it.
Yeah, so it's just like a different equation of what you want to get into. You know, we obviously love to buy for $1 and sell for $30,
right,
or $70.
Yeah, or
you know, those kind of things.
Exactly.
But you know, there is an equation where you're buying for 10, selling for 15, but you're selling just a lot of those, and you only have to put it up one time, and
right.
I mean, I've even heard there's people that they don't even get the inventory. They go to Kohl's and they see, I could buy these bath towels for $10. They go home and
list it,
and then if it sells, then they
go
drive
and
to
buy
Kohl's.
it.
Yeah,
which I do not think is a very smart thing to do, because what if they're gone in a week?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know, so. But again, as scavengers, we each have to do those equations and see if they work. I'm surprised that, you know, I think that a Mark's instinct is very good, because I've heard that too, and our experience has been, you know, big clothes, man, 5X. 5X? I don't think I've seen clothes
I've never seen 5X, but those kinds of people have very specific sizes, big, tall. They might not shop at regular stores because they can't find the right sizes. So if you have everything with measurements and everything, they're gonna buy it online.
I mean, like, and we do very well, like, anytime we find, like, size 15 shoe.
Yeah, even, like,
a 4X
13 to 15, 4X jacket, that stuff.
So I am surprised that those clothes don't sell for more. But then again, you know, these days, if it's just, like, even if it's a halfway decent brand, if it's just made in China, I mean, there's a factory right now just spitting boxes of those things out. So that's why, because it's not a unique item. And that's probably why the retail store is doing fire sales at 75% off.
Right, exactly. That's why that's retail that outlet exists, because they're just trying to get it out. So thank you everyone who called. You can give us a call and ask questions or make comments. And again, the phone number is 540-407-8486.
And all the people who are listening to this on YouTube, we love you, but we would love for you to come to our website at ScavengerLife.com, because that's just where we all hang out.
That's where the conversation.
It's just like happening. It's almost like we have opened a little quiet cafe on the off street. YouTube's on the main street. It's a little too. We're shy people. Come over to our little quiet cafe.
Exactly.
We have cats there, so
it's a cat cafe.
It's a cat cafe.
Oh boy.
We post this episode every Sunday night, Monday morning. On Wednesdays, we always post a what sold or what sells video, so you can actually see some of these items we actually sell and how much we sell them for.
Yes,
because that's always, I think, more interesting. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or in YouTube, so you'll just get the latest when we post it. And you can always rent our vacation farmhouse that we talk about.
Yep.
Or you can even see it. We'll post a link to it, and you can just look at it. And
see how cool it is.
Yeah.
And wish that you could rent it. But you can rent it if you want. Yes. And I do want to thank people for sending us tips in our tip jar. We always appreciate that. It helps us pay our internet bill, helps us pay for ScavengerLife.com domain name, things like that.
Yep.
So we really appreciate that. Hopefully we will see you on the blog. This podcast is ending in 3, 2, 1. Bye.